Hello, it is I, Ramses the 800th, and it's a pleasure to meet you all once again. And today, I'm going to be talking about an anime that's currently airing called Shuninji Family Children, or the Shuninji Family Children, right? This anime is the the prime example of the type of thing people thought anime was about when people thought anime wasn't cool. Well, people still thought anime wasn't cool. Like they would go, "Oh, anime's weird. It has all these strange things, right?" And this is the prime example of it. If quick, like I guess aside, if you haven't watched the show, do I recommend watching it? Uh, I don't know. You'll have to read the synopsis. Honestly, I can't really give a fair recommendation, especially since it's not over yet. We're only on episode 10. There should be, I think, two more episodes. I don't think we're going to 13. But this, okay, another. I'm going to keep bringing it up in this video. Another thing to have in mind is this story was also written by the same guy who wrote Rent a Girlfriend. And if you know how Rent a Girlfriend is going, and was going when the anime was airing, and is going currently in the manga as of me recording this, you would know that's not really a good like stamp to have. That's not something you want. You don't want to be associated with Rent a Girlfriend in any way. But comparatively, this is a really good series. Now, that's not saying a lot because Rent a Girlfriend is really bad, but like it's not terrible. So quick synopsis. The Shinuji family children is about the Shinuji family, right? Shiu, Shiunji? Shiunji, that's what it is. I kept calling it Ishigami in my head. I was like, that's not it. Shuinji family, and it consists of I have the characters listed because I'm not good with names. I think Banri. I always think her name's Barney. Banri, who's like I also have traits. The oldest sister, she's 18, and her one defining trait is that she has big boobs, and a few other things, but that's kind of like the main gimmick. There's Seiha, who has blue hair. She's smart, and she's the second oldest at 17. There are the not twins, who is Oka, the pink tsundere not twin, and then Arata, our main character. They're both 16. Then there's the actual twins, which is Minami, who's like the green sport uh girl. I guess you can also call her tomboy, but I don't really know. There's Shion, who's the only other male character, and he's not really important at all. They're both 15, and then the youngest, whose name is Kotono. She's the youngest. She's shy, and she loves Arata. And I have here she's 14, and it's incest is wincest, and it's okay if they aren't blood related. Those are the two other notes that I have. But if you couldn't tell by my synopsis there and me saying what I said about Kotono, I have to keep. And if you haven't told, and if you haven't been able to tell from my description of Kotono, this anime is kind of incestuous in a weird way. So early on, they do this really big reveal, right? That none of the siblings are related except for Minami and Shion. They're the only actual twins, and everyone is completely like thrown back by that. They're like, "Oh my god, that's so weird," right? I think for their entire lives, you all thought they were siblings, but turns out they're not. Kotono is the only one who's like, "This is my chance. This is the moment," right? Because before this knowledge was known, she had told Arata that she loved him, right? And Arata, being a good big brother, was like, "No, that's not how that works." But complications happen. Like he had like a weird reputation with his siblings, but yeah, right. The problem I have with this anime currently is that the emotional beats that it hits is are good, right? They're really good emotional beats. But then they keep mentioning that they like about the sibling thing, and it like really bothers me. It like ruins a lot of the stuff in my head, right? As someone with siblings, this is really weird. I don't like this. This is a very strange concept. Um and it I don't know how else to describe it except it's strange, right? Some of them like I feel like the only characters that are normal, air quotes normal, the only normal character is Shion, and that's why he's not in the story at all. He doesn't do much. Um, but the only other quote unquote normal person is Arata because of the way he reacts to things. Because Arata, like when you see his actions and you see what he does, he's a good brother, right? He's a good big brother. He usually helps out his siblings whenever he can. He supports them whenever they're really struggling with stuff. But then he also has these moments where he's like, "Oh, I never noticed Oka had like boobs like that. That's weird. That's weird, right? It's very strange." But none of his siblings are exempt from it, except for maybe Minami. She's the only one that's like kind of normal. Oka, I'm gonna talk about Oka in a second. Um, but I'm gonna go through some of the stuff that happened like in chronological order until we get to what I really want to talk about, which is the most recent episodes. So when they found out the whole reveal, it was actually on Kotono's birthday, which is very fucked up. It was her 14th birthday, and they revealed that at the end. That was really weird. The dad kind of just dropped that on them, and like that itself is a very stressful situation. You finding out that these people that you've lived with your entire lives aren't like really your family. Of course, it's like the emotional bond, but it's also like the like I especially feel it with Arata and Oka, who thought they were twins, right? They were told they were twins and they thought they were twins, and to find out that actually no, you guys are just the same age. That's really fucked up. That sucks, and we kind of feel the impact weirdly, right? Everyone's like really confused. They're all like, "Oh, what do we like? What does this change? Does it really change anything?" And then we see early on some of the characteristics of a lot of the characters. Barney's kind of, I'm gonna call her Barney. Barney is very like she's trying to go with it, trying to be like cool with it, but like it's still weird for her. Seiha is like she's the cold, calculating, like smart one, so she's like, oh, it doesn't really matter, right? Oka is they're all trying to take it like easy, but there's like that slight uneasiness. And the only person that's really okay with it to a certain extent is Minami. Minami is like, oh, well, even though we're not like blood siblings, we're still siblings, right? It doesn't really change anything. She's like the happy go lucky, always smiling, always uh, cheerful person, right? She's the one in that group. And when I remember when this happened, I was like, uh oh, Kotono is like she's gonna try something, and she did almost immediately. She basically pounced on Arata the moment the first chance she got. I believe she was in the shower, and he didn't know, and he wanted to take a shower, and she kind of just jumped on him, right? Not like she grabbed him like his back, and he was like, "I get that we're not siblings like we're not blood related, but I still see you as my little sister, right? You're my little sister, and nothing is going to change that. So I'm just gonna forget that this happened. It doesn't matter, right? You're still my sibling, and that's how I see you, right?" Kotono proceeds to. This is a little later, but she proceeds to tell the entire family, all the other sisters, that she's going to pursue Arata. That's her thing. She's going to pursue him, which is weird. And she says it very like I'm going after him, not as like a sibling, but as somebody that I want to love, right? And that's weird. That's very strange. They explain it away by saying like, oh, she's young, she's going through changes, and she's confusing platonic love with romantic love, and so that's why she wants to pursue Arata, right? But Kotono is very much like, no, I'm not confused. I'm not blah 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 blah, right? Which is weird. It's very strange. I'm gonna keep saying that's gonna be the word of the day. It's gonna be that's weird. It's weird. But that's what she wants to pursue. Thankfully, we don't really hold on it too much because the first few episodes are basically introducing the siblings and what their like gimmicks are, right? Their niches. Barney is like the only actual like adult. Like they're like she's like the mom of the group technically because she's the oldest. We didn't know Sarah's the Seiha is the smart one. Oka is kind of like Oka is kind of like the perfect child. Like she's good at sports. Like she does swimming. I think she does track. She's good. She gets good grades, and that's like her thing, right? Minami is sports, and Kotono. I don't really remember what her special trait was. I don't really think they talk about it. But the next part is focusing on Minami, and this is what I mean by the emotional stuff and the story based stuff is really good. Minami, like her whole thing is like she plays tennis, right? She's good at other sports and like karate and stuff, but she's really good at tennis and she wants to pursue tennis. And the person who helped her like focus on that dream was one of her upper classmates who's going to quit tennis, right? That's like a story beat. And because Minami is working so hard, she hurts her foot and she kind of gets like agitated. She's like, I don't want to miss out on sending off my, I think it's her senpai. I don't want to send off my senpai with a loss. I want to be there. I want to be the one to win, and I want to be there to like show her like, I got this. We're all good, right? But her legs hurt, and Arata, our main character, being a good big brother, notices, hey, you're like leaning on your leg a little bit. Are you okay? Right? Are you fine? And we find out that obviously she hurt her ankle and she's kind of pushing herself a little too much. And Arata saying, hey, I can't really stop you from pursue like doing this because I can tell but I'm not going to. You obviously doing this for a reason, and I want to try to support you. So all I can do is really be like a somebody who's like helping with your injury. I don't know too much, but I can try my best. Like he gives her massages, he helps her do stretches and stuff like that. He then he starts saying like weird comments, but I ignore those parts. Those parts are just ignore those. But you see the dedication Arata has with helping his siblings. At least his siblings, because after Minami goes, oh, I'm gonna go find like a like an actual physical trainer after the season because um, I should be able to proceed like this. We cut to Arato's room and he goes, well, I guess I don't need these anymore. And they're books of like anatomy, how to help with muscle relaxing, how to help with like injuries. And he was reading up. You see like I think like 2 to 3 books on his desk. And that shows that he was willing to like go really far for his sibling. And that's really cool, right? That's really awesome that he cares so much about his sister. And before she gets the chance to actually go to the game, this big game. I think it was like a semifinal or like a final for like tennis. The team realizes that she's hurt and they kind of bench her. Right? They say you can't play. We're not going to let you play. And all the siblings go, you know what? We're getting you there, right? Because she kind of disappears for a little. There's a little bit of drama, blah blah blah. But they basically swoop her up and they take her to the stadium so that she can try to get this play because they obviously know that we can't stop you from playing, but we want you to be able to do this thing because it's obviously very important to you, right? And it's important to the person that you care about. So we want to help you. And all the siblings get into a giant car and start driving, right? They drive to the stadium, but there's a lot of traffic because it's a big game. And Arata takes a bike and no, he doesn't take a bike. Arata buys one of those cycle bikes like they have in like the city where you can buy you could just rent a bike. So he rents the bike, takes himself and Minami. They uh, ooh, my words. And he pedals her to the stadium, right? And he's saying like, this is really important to you. I'll always do this for you because you're my sister. I care about you and I want you to do do good, right? They get to the stadium and he basically gets like he does like the bow that they do in Japan, and he's like, please let her play. Just give her a chance, let her play. And I know that they say like she's gonna be an Olympian one day because that's how good her skills are, right? And he's like, please let her play. I know it might cause problems, but this is something she really wants to do, right? He's on the ground basically pleading for his sister to be able to play, and she does. And she costs them the game. She loses, and they touch on a fact of Minami's character. They touched on it a little bit before, but Minami is always happy. That's kind of like her thing. She always tries to find the bright side of stuff. She's always trying to be positive because that's how she copes. She usually is happy on the outside, but when she's alone, she feels like she's able to be sad. Arata does not have any, isn't having any of that, right? So when she loses the game, she's kind of by herself. They go to get her, and Arata's like, "Oh, are you okay?" She goes, "No, yeah, I'm all right. I'm fine. Let's just go." And he grabs her into a hug, and he goes, cut it out, right? Stop lying. And then she just starts bawling. She's like, I really wanted to win. I didn't. I want to get better. I don't want to lose. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Blah, 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 blah. It was very. emotional. It was very good. But I think the next episode, she's starting to be weird around Naruto because whenever she's around him, she remembers like the warmth, his warmth, like of the hug and all that other stuff. And she's like, "This is kind of weird. Is this how Kotono feels? I don't know what my feelings are." That's that's kind of weird. But the way it's framed kind of makes sense. I'm gonna talk about Rent a Girlfriend for a second because I have to, and it's like in the back of my throat. The reason I personally don't like Rent a Girlfriend is Kazuya. I hate him. I hate Kazuya as a person. He's so wishy washy. He's so flippy floppy, and he never knows when to shut up, and he never knows when to say anything. And the main reason is because he doesn't have a reason to not be like that. He's something else. He's a complete other person. Like he's lower than low, right? But the characters in this show have a reason to be apprehensive about their feelings, about wanting to talk about this stuff. Because A, they're talking about it with people who they thought were their blood relatives, and they're talking about it about people who are they thought were their blood relatives. It's very it's a very weird situation because technically, saying technically, they're not blood related. None of them or have any DNA connection except Shion and Minami, but that doesn't matter. I think Shion has a girlfriend. Uh, and none of them are actually related. And that's kind of like the moral thing. Is it okay for this to be a thing? Right? They still view each other. A lot of them view each other as siblings, but when you come down to it, they're not. Right? And that moral ambiguity, is that the word? Is kind of like the crux of like the drama, romantic drama, I should say, uh, um in the show. And another reason that I kind of prefer this over a Rent a Girlfriend is because the one doing the pursuing isn't the main character. So far, the two the saying sisters is weird. Minami and Kotono are the ones trying to pursue Arata, right? And Arata is kind of very stalwart in the way of like, I don't want to think about this. This is weird. Where I still see you guys as siblings. I don't want to think of you guys in that way. So that kind of like explains away a lot of his like looking at them weird because it's a very strange situation, right? And they're like most of them are in high school. It's like hormones and stuff. It's weird. I think at one point Arta's like, I've seen Oka in states of undress a lot of times before, but now with this context, it's a lot weirder, right? Okay, at least he explains it, right? But that was the Minami little section, and that's when Minami was like, "I think I might have feelings for my brother." That's weird, right? Um, she already stopped calling him. Oh no, I think she still got. She still does. She still calls him Arata Nichan, but that was the Minami little section, and that was a good section. I liked that part. And then currently, we're covering the Oka stuff. Now, there's a lot of stuff in between, focusing on some of the other sisters. Like Seiha is we see more of her character. She's a little bit direct when it comes to stuff. Like when Kotono like hugged Arata in the shower, Seiha kind of what's the word? Yeah, straddled Arata and was like on top of him to see if his heart was racing, to see if he had these weird feelings about his siblings. And she confirmed, no, he doesn't. Right? Okay, cool, good. And then she does it again later, and that's kind of like her way of confirming things. She's weird, right? She's very strange. Barney is I don't like Barney. She's like the oldest. She's like wanting to be a nurse. We recently got an episode covering like what she kind of wants to do, and I have a feeling that she knows a lot more about this situation than the others do. She was also kind of surprised, but I feel like she'd have like a hint of it since she is the oldest. And I don't know when their mom died, but you know, she has a lot of weird moments with Arata. I don't really like it. She calls whenever they hang out dates. She like does the Ara thing in his ear. She whispers at him. She like the chess thing is weird. I don't know. I think it's because like I said, if you have like siblings, this is a really weird anime because you're like I can't picture this in my head. I don't get this situation, right? But that's like a problem inherent to people with siblings. But if you don't have a siblings, you don't care, right? You love this anime. This is your generic harem anime, right? But I think the show does really well when they're not. being trying to be romantic, right? Like some of the funny side jokes that appear sometimes is Barney, Bonry, I don't know, Barney. She doesn't like driving. She's very nervous when driving, and I just find that really funny. I don't know if it's because I haven't seen slice of life anime in a while, but the fact that Barney like is terrified of being on the freeway and she's going really slow because she's scared of being there is really funny to me. I don't know why. Um and like that's kind of like really the only things that I think about. But like whenever they're interacting and they're being siblings, oh, well, we're gonna talk about the Oka stuff. But whenever they're interacting and actually acting like siblings, I go, that's fun, that's cool. In a section I'm gonna talk about in a minute, Oka like runs away to Mount Fuji, and Arata goes to get her. And when he finds her, he texts in the family group chat, like subject apprehended or something like that. And I thought that was really funny because that's something I would say if I'm looking for a family member and I find them. I tell everyone else, "Oh, got him," right? That's just something that you do. But then it's like the whole other side of like the romance subplots. It's uncomfy for me. But why did Oka go to Mount Fuji? Oka, we get like the scene of Oka being well earlier in the season. Oka has like this weird pseudo fake out love confession where she tells Arata that she loves him, right? And Arata's like, "Whoa, that's weird," right? And Minami overheard this, and there was like a whole little scuffle. But in reality, she says, "I love you as like a brother, right? You're my twin," and it's really reassuring whenever you're a really good brother to everyone else. Something like that, something along those lines. And he was like, "Oh, whoo, right? Thank God, right?" That was getting weird. And then there was like a whole little subplot with the oh, I heard her say that she loved him. Is this the same thing as Kotano? Blah 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 blah, right? But in actuality, she was really struggling with the reveal that they weren't siblings. It was affecting her grades. You kind of see it throughout the season. Whenever she's studying, she kind of immediately goes, I'm gonna take a little break. Oh, I'm gonna like rest for a little bit. And we see it when they do like a little mock exam, and everyone's like, "Oh, Oka, you probably got really high, right?" She goes, "Yeah, I got what I expected, right?" And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, probably the A plus. She's so smart, blah 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 blah." And she opens the like it results and it's a D. And I said, "Whoa, she's an idiot, right?" But it affected her a lot more than I thought. And they had like a 3-day weekend coming up, and Oka, I also forgot, they're all rich. They're like rich family, right? Because that's like the thing. Um, so Oka just goes, "Oh, I'm gonna go." She doesn't say she's going to Mount Fuji. She says she's going somewhere else, but she says, "Yeah, I'm going over there," right? And Archa's like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gone." Like, "Are you gonna stop me?" And he's like, "Well, no. I guess enjoy your trip." And she goes, and the 3 days pass, and on the fourth day she doesn't come back, and she misses school. And then everyone's like, "That's not good, right? That's worrisome. We don't know where she is." And thankfully, they had like a tracker device on her phone, so they tracked her to Mount Fuji. When I heard Mount Fuji, and I'm sure a lot of you other anime fans heard Mount Fuji, you probably went, "Ooh, I hope it's not the Suicide Forest," right? And then they mentioned the Suicide Forest. That's another thing I like about the show is that they kind of have common sense to an extent. Obviously, half the stuff that happens in the show wouldn't happen with common sense, but it's common sense, right? She's on Mount Fuji. The Suicide Forest is on Mount Fuji. That's not a good match, right? So they want to go get her. Arata basically goes, "I'm gonna go get my sister. I'm gonna go get my twin," and he goes over there, right? And then when he goes over to Mount Fuji, she's surprised. Oka's very surprised. Obviously, she didn't expect her brother there, and he's kind of like, "Yep, moment. The time comes. We're gonna go back down, and we're gonna go back home, right?" And they stay in the same room overnight. Arta's like, "This is so weird. This is my first time seeing her. She's changing behind me. That's very strange." Um, and they kind of have like a talk, and he's like, "Why do you even come to Mount Fuji? That doesn't make sense, right?" Um, I thought it was like, "Oh, she's athletic, probably to go up to like clear her head." In actuality, she went to Mount Fuji because that's where her parents met. Well, you know, her dad helped her mom when they were on Mount Fuji because she was suffering from altitude sickness, and he carried her all the way down. They fell in love. Rest is history, right? I don't remember what her exact reasoning. I think she was talking about like oh, do you like she was asking Archer, do you believe in like soulmates? Do you believe in connections? Blah 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 blah, something like that. And then she goes to sleep, right? And the next morning, I'm basically going by episode thing at this point. The next morning, Arta wakes up. He looks to the side, and she's not there. And she has like a little note saying, "Oh, I've gone home." And Arta, being a good sibling, goes, "Yeah, right." Takes the note, calls Barney, and goes, "Hey, can you track her? Is she actually going home?" They say, "Nope, she went further up the mountain," and then he follows suit. And then she has like these moments in Mount Fuji where like this is just like it's like cloudy, so it's like this dark shot, and she's just sitting there, like staring at like what's it called, the gate, right? The gate on Mount Fuji. I don't know what the pagoda. It's not pagoda. Something else. The little thing. You know what I'm talking about in Japan. And she's staring at it. And she's like, "Why am I even here? What's going on? Blah blah blah. Why am I wasting my time with this? This is so dumb. Can't believe I missed." Like she's basically berating herself because of her choices. But because she's being kind of negative, she's not really looking where she's going. Goes into a side trail and then trips and falls. Right, and she hurts her leg. Um, and then it kind of starts raining. It's kind of muddy. It's like foggy. And she's like, "Uh oh, I'm in danger." Arata goes up to try to find her, doesn't see her, goes back down, realizes she's not there, and then kind of have a little freak out. It's like, we got to find our sister, right? And Oka is still in the bottom, realizing, I'm kind of dumb and I'm probably going to die here because I'm an idiot, right? And then, lo and behold, Arata, right? But before that, Oka kind of has like this moment of like realizing that it's very weird for the past few days with her father, because they do a little flashback when she was a kid, and she would basically tell her father everything. But now after the reveal, she's kind of apprehensive about it, right? Because she's like, it's very strange because you're not my father in like a weird way. But Arta comes, he saves her, and it's like that chivalrous knight that she talked about when they were kids. They have a little flashback where she's like, "You have to be more like father because dad managed to like be a knight in shining armor, and I'll only fall for a knight in shining armor." Segueing to something, but he's like, "I don't care. Come, we're going, right? I'm gonna pick you up. We're gonna go all the way home, right?" He picks her up, he grabs her, and they start walking. And this is another scene where I was like, this is a really good show, because Oka kind of explains why she was actually on Mount Fuji. She saw a video on Stickstock. I made absolute sure to go back to see it because it was called Stickstock, and and in that she saw a video of a guy, like a random video, stupid little short video, saying that they met a dead relative on Mount Fuji, and she was like, "I wanted to go to Mount Fuji to see if I can see mom." Right? Already kind of sad. And then she goes, "But she never came, right? She never showed up." And then she goes on this little thing where she's like, "Of course she didn't show up. We're not actually family. None of us are actually family, right? I don't know why you guys care about me so much. I don't understand all this. It doesn't matter because we're not actually relatives, right?" Everyone was saying how we don't want things to change, but maybe for one of us, that is like a huge groundbreaking problem, right? And it kind of changes everything. It makes everything feel like a lie. It makes all of our connections feel fake. It feel like it's like foundation of lies, and everything comes crumbling down when the lie is revealed. That's kind of how she feels, right? And she's like, "I don't know what to do." Arata, being a good brother, goes, "It doesn't matter about any of that because I care about you, right? I care about you. I want to be around you, and you, no matter what, you are my twin." Because I also think that's another part of like how much it affected Oka. She thought for the longest time that Arata was her twin brother. That was her, like they thought they had like the twins like psychic sense, right? They thought for the longest time, but with the reveal that no, that's not a thing. You guys aren't actually like related like that. That's pretty big, right? But Arata's words are very reassuring to her, and she's like, "You know what? Cool, whatever." And she calls him a gorilla, which I thought was funny. She calls him a gorilla before, but like it's just funny because of this instance. She gets her leg patched up. She goes down the hill. The rest of the family's there. They all drive home, right? Arata, because he was carrying her on Mount Fuji while it was raining, he gets really sick and he's kind of out of commission, right? Another instance that I thought was really funny that happened in that same episode. This is episode 10. This is the most recent episode. That I also thought was pretty funny was uh, Barney was making like porridge for Arta because he's asleep and they have to give him something easy to eat. And she goes, who wants to take the food up? Minami and Kotono both go, I want to do it. And then, that's like a little, it's embarrassing. But when I was watching, I said, you probably shouldn't leave Kotono alone with Arata, especially since he's knocked out. You don't know what she's going to do. I said that as a joke, right? In the show, they say, yeah, like they say, like, okay, Minami, go. And then they later say, yeah, it's probably best not to leave Kotono alone. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I love that because it makes sense, right? It obviously you're not going to leave the girl who clearly stated to you and the rest of your siblings that she's willing to pursue Arata and he's unconscious. You don't want to leave them there, right? Granted, they don't know that Minami is also feeling like that, but they don't know, right? That's the excuse. Um, now we're gonna get to the part that I really want to talk about, and I wanted to vent out to you guys. So Oka comes around basically asking how's Arata. They're like, oh, Oka, you know what? We're all doing all the effort, but you should be doing it because you got him sick, right? So go up and get the tray, then bring it back down. And she's like, oh, okay, fine. Also, like, I remember because of the shot, she goes into the room and starts grabbing the tray. This anime is beautiful. The intro is beautiful. The outro is beautiful. The animation in general is beautiful. A lot of those big emotional scenes are very beautiful, and it's really well animated. I just wanted to say that again because it's good. It's a very good show. Oka goes to the unconscious Arata and basically is more honest with him, right? She goes, "Oh, um, I'm sorry, I can't really be so like honest with you when you're awake, but it's a little embarrassing talking about that kind of stuff." And she goes, I didn't tell you the truth about why I really went to Mount Fuji. It is true that I went because of the video and because I wanted to meet mom, but I also wanted to ask her something, right? I wanted to ask her if these feelings I have are wrong or if it's wrong for me to feel the way I do about everything that's happening right now, about all this stuff, right? Also, she reconciled with her father and like talked to him, so that was good. But she says all this and she goes, but your words really helped me. She's talking to Arata's unconscious body. He's unconscious. And it made me feel a lot better about how I feel and what I'm going through right now. She proceeds to go, I love you, Arata, as a twin, as a big brother, and as the guy that I love. And I go, this is fucked up. What are you talking about, Oka? This is. I was having a whole fit, and it just kept getting worse. I was like, "What are you talking about? This is so weird. What? Why did you have to bring up the fact that like the twin and then the brother and then the thing that doesn't make sense?" And then Oka basically goes over to him, goes over to Arata as he's unconscious, and like plants a kit and kisses him like Sleeping Beauty, and I was having like a whole meltdown. My sister was in the other room. She's like, "Why are you yelling?" I'm like, "Oh my god, that's so messed up. Why are you doing that? Don't do that. He's unconscious. That's not okay, right?" I was absolutely freaking out. I was so upset. And then they do the reveal that Arto was awake at least at the tail end of it, after she says like, oh, sorry, blah blah blah, takes the train, leaves, and then we cut to Arta's face, and he was awake, he experienced all of that, and now he's like, what the hell's going on? Episode end, and I was floored. I was so bothered because the show, like, that was a really good emotional beat, and then she has to bring up the love, and I'm like, no, don't do that. Just be normal, please. I can't handle it. I'm getting heated talking about it, but oh my god. So that's three of the siblings so far, that are confirmed to be in love with Arata, right? It's very I don't know how to deal with it, honestly. But again, I'm gonna talk about Rent a Girlfriend again. And the reason I'm more okay with this than Rent a Girlfriend is because in this short amount of time that's transpired for this show, this, what is it, 10 episodes, so much more has happened than in anything in Rent a Girlfriend. Three girls are confirmed to like the main character, and the only reason the main character isn't pursuing any of them, which is, of course, one of the main questions, why isn't the main character pursuing any of the female leads? This is a very good reason not to pursue any of them. He's trying to figure out his feelings. He's like, this is weird. I still kind of view you guys as siblings. I don't know what to deal with, how to deal with these emotions, and I still want to be like a sibling. I don't want to be, I don't want to feel like that. That's weird. And that makes perfect sense on why he's so apprehensive to continuing this these relationships in a different aspect, right? And I don't know how to recover from this. I read a little bit ahead in the manga. I read like one of the more recent chapters as of when I last read it, and we were covering a little bit of Seiha and like how she feels. And I think that's when Seiha fell in love with him. So, you know, I don't know what happens at all between that, but that's it. Like the reasoning makes sense, and Seiha being the way she is, it also made sense. It's really good, right? Now compare that to Rent a Girl. Like I keep talking about Rent a Girlfriend, but it's because they were made by the same person. If you know what's happening currently in Rent a Girlfriend, it's not good. It's not good, right? But I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to get too heated. But uh, okay, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna stop. I'm not talking about Rent a Girlfriend right now. We still have two more episodes of Shiunji, family siblings, family children left in the season. I think. I hope. I can't wait for the rest because it's like a weird. I like the show. I like it, but I also don't like. It's one of those shows that get you heated. Like it's like, what are you talking about? But I do like it. Would I recommend it? No. I don't watch this. You're gonna be seen as very strange and very weird. Um, but if you want to watch it, watch it. Um, like the character moments that don't involve Barney being weird are or Seiha right now are really good, right? And there's a lot of merit in saying merit seems makes me seem very presumptuous. It's good, right? That's the best way I can say it. I don't like doing too much like dissection of stuff, and I really like just talking about my personal feelings. So I'm not gonna go too much into like the it has a lot of inherent stuff. I like it. I like the characters, and that's enough for me, right? I know it makes me upset. I know I'm yelling a lot, and I know I've probably been going on for I don't know like 30 minutes about this right now, but it's good. When it hits, right? And I think it's worth your time, right? So that's it for me. I might do like another video if if there's another scene that happens that brings out this much emotion, uh, violent or otherwise, in me. So yeah. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Generic YouTuber stuff, like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, I appreciate every single one of you if you stop in even for a minute, even for a second. And I'd like to bid you all a farewell.